Hey everyone, this is Pete. Welcome back to Atari ST A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari ST games, some of which I grew up with and some of which are new to me. This is one of the latter. This is Operation Thunderbolt, originally an arcade game by Taito and ported to the Atari ST by Ocean, who did a fair few licensed games in particular throughout the 16-bit era. They were most well known for their movie licensed games. But in this case, it was an arcade conversion. Now, this is a game that I was aware of, but never actually played back in the day. It was one of two games in this series, as there was Operation Wolf before this, that I always thought looked really cool. But for one reason or another, I never actually had an opportunity to play them. So, I'm going to be quite interested to give it a go for the very first time today. So, if you're unfamiliar, Operation Wolf and Operation Thunderbolt are lightgun shooters. Now, the ST didn't have a light gun, so the option that Ocean went for was the next best thing, which is mouse control. And so there were a fair few games of this type on the Atari ST that made use of mouse control rather than an actual light gun. And this is actually quite an unusual way of doing it, because normally what happens with a virtual light gun shooter of this type is that you'd actually have a visible mouse cursor on screen. And by default in this, it seems that doesn't happen. So it's actually quite a convincing simulation of how a real light gun shooter plays. Because in most cases, you don't have a visible crosshair on screen. You do with some of the more recent ones because they make use of infrared sensors rather than sort of old school light gun technology like they used to. But yeah, in most cases, you would not be able to see where you were shooting until you actually pulled the trigger. And it seems we have a power-up in this that allows us to actually see where we're pointing on the screen. But otherwise, you just have to fire your gun and see where the actual shots land. Graphics in this are very nice, I have to say. Fairly long load times, though. It's also nice to have a decent amount of sampled sound in there. Even if the in-game sounds are somewhat underwhelming. Let's continue. So yeah, that machine gun sound in particular is pretty pathetic. But yeah, we got some decent animation and graphics. Don't seem to be taking any damage anymore. Oh, I am. It's just the body armor absorbs a lot of damage, including from grenades and stuff as well. We do have bombs as well that we can fire with the right mouse button. That's good for getting rid of the heavier targets. Could do with that laser sight again. Dead? Dead. Continue. Do we have limited continues in this? That is the question. It hasn't sort of said we have a certain number of credits anywhere, so it doesn't look like it. But we'll see how we go. Yeah, I'm actually quite impressed with the... Oh, there's the laser sight, that's good. I'm actually quite impressed with the implementation of this, to be honest. It's the idea of hiding the mouse cursor. It's an unusual one for the genre, certainly. But it works. Works nicely. It actually gives a sort of reasonably close feeling to how an actual light gun shooter plays without having the actual light gun. And I'm dead. We do a limited continues. So we can continue 3 times, I think that was, wasn't it? Okay, let's give that one more go and see how we get on. Again, are there any other options we can customize? I don't think there are there? Oh no. So you can play this 2-player as well. Now, since you can only connect one mouse to an Atari ST at once, I assume that the second player would have to use the joystick, which sounds hellish for this kind of game, particularly if you don't have an on-screen cursor. I wonder how that would even work. It's quite interesting having to work with the limited ammunition as well. So you can see down on the status bar that you've got a limited amount of ammunition in your gun, but then also a limited number of clips as well. So you can keep refilling your ammunition for as long as you've got more clips. But when you run out, like we do here, you can only fire 1 shot at a time. It's a bit implemented quite like Namco's Rolling Thunder in that way. In that when you ran out of ammo in Rolling Thunder as well, you had just a single shot at a time that you had to wait to replenish. Thoughtful soldier.
Confiscate ammunition and means of transportation.
Oh, you don't get an ammo restock on the new level. That's not very nice. Alright, let's go again. You do when you continue though, thankfully. Yeah, I'm actually very pleasantly surprised by this, actually. So, I've always kind of felt that light gun shooters that made use of something that isn't a light gun always kind of lost a bit in translation, but like I say, the way this works is actually really good. I'd say the only really weak aspect of this game is the sound effects, which are pretty terrible, as you can hear. But I mean, they do the job. You know what they are. There's clear sound effects to mean different things. And that's all you need, really. I'm dead again. Continue. Need to try harder to actually shoot down those incoming shots. Easier said than done. Laser sight, laser sight. That's that then. So that is Operation Thunderbolt by Taito, ported to the ST by Ocean. Well worth a look, actually. I wasn't expecting much from that, but was actually very pleasantly surprised there. So, there you have it. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue a small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.